Well, hello there. My name's Dennis Fluer, and I'll be your host at Tripplanning101.com. Now, this is a .com because I knew from our videos here that you need more than just me here sharing things with you. You need some actual place where you can go and be able to read and copy, print this kind of information. And so through no small expense, I put together a really nice website for you that you can go and be able to cover all the items that we discuss through these individual tapes, and then be able to use that information in planning out your international travel. Now, the thing I want to cover today is clothing when you travel. You don't need to take everything that you own. In fact, that's the last thing you want to do. On a 10-day to 14 two-week trip, you want to take probably 3 outfits that you can rotate parts to, so you have something fresh to wear every day. The thing I do encourage you to bring is plenty of socks and plenty of underwear, so that you can have something fresh to put on. You aren't going to normally be doing too many things as you get dirty, so your outer clothing kind of thing, that'll last just fine normally through that period of time. If you run into a situation where you might find that you don't have enough, about every place I've ever been, there's stores that you can go to and be able to purchase any additional type things. So clothing is something that's really important in that you don't want to overload your suitcase. I think I commented on another one when we get into talking about luggage, how important it is not to be over 50 pounds with your luggage, because it will cause you nothing but grief and a whole lot of extra expense if you don't keep your luggage to a certain under 50 pounds. So clothing is the way you save that extra pounds, because you are carrying extra things, especially the women with the toiletries and the hair dryers and all that type of thing. It's surprising how fast that adds up. And so just be cautious on what you bring. Bring things that you can layer if you're going to a location where the temperatures may vary quite a bit. When we went to Israel, in the morning it was rather cool, so it's nice to have a little coat or layer something on. But once it got to be about noon, it started warming up quite a bit, and so you want something that's easy to take off and put aside or wrap around your waist, something of that sort, so that you have something that you can take off or put on depending on the temperature, because you don't want to be too hot, too cold. That just makes you miserable. So think about layering when you're doing traveling like that. Another thing to look at is always check the weather conditions of whatever country you're going to go to. The internet's great that way, because you can go and see what the forecast is for like the next 10 or 15 days and then plan accordingly. And all the traveling we've done, 15 countries in the last 7 years that we visited, that there's only a couple of times that we actually ran into rain. Excuse me. Just getting over a cold. And so the thing I suggest doing with that is get one of those really cheap plastic raincoats that you can slip over with the hood on to keep your head dry, and that'll be great. You want to carry one of those little short portable umbrellas. If it looks like it's going to be rain, then that's another good suggestion. But keep your luggage light. Don't put anything in your luggage that might look like a threat. Liquids, don't put in your luggage over certain ounces, because they'll pull you out of the line as you go through customs or you go through security, and you may miss your flight because they'll take you and stick you in a little room somewhere and kind of forget about you until an hour or two later, and then by then, you've got a real problem. So just be careful what you pack. Your clothes, most places you go to aren't going to have a place to do laundry. And so if you need to wash some things out in the sink and hang them up and hopefully it'll be dry by the next morning, then that's great. You can do that. but most of the things you wear, plan on wearing them multiple days, different times, and that should be wonderful. Other things you pack, if you're going on a cruise where you're going to have a special dress-up night, yeah, that's going to take up a lot of room in your luggage. You want to make sure that you pack just what you need. One pair of shoes, because the other shoes that you pack, of course, are going to be 2 comfortable pairs of shoes that you can rotate. And it's always recommended, don't wear sandals or open-toed things of that sort, because you're going to do a lot of walking, and you don't know where you're going to be walking a lot of times. And so you want to wear something that protects your feet, but yet it's very comfortable. So don't just buy a new pair of shoes and then not wear them for the first time until you get somewhere. Make sure that they're broken and in a bed, and you will save yourself a lot of problems. So other than that, you want to remember anything that you might need on the flight, like medications, do not pack them in your suitcase. It might be 15, 20 hours before you have access to your suitcase again. So make sure any carry-on things you have them with your carry-on luggage. Now, I haven't talked much about your carry-on luggage, but there's a number of things that you're going to want in your carry-on luggage. And first of all is any medication you may need. So you want to do that. Anything that you might feel that you need to have during that period of time. If you've got a little bit of a cold, like I'm getting over, that type of thing, then you want to make sure that you have those medications with you. If you're wondering about medications, the lesson 2, I go through medications, things that you want to make sure you have with you. So in your luggage, other than the basics, go a little bit light. I'm going to share a little story with you real quick here. Our second trip we took was to Italy, and we were about 2 weeks in Italy. And in our part of our journey, our instruction told us as we flew in to Venice, that we were supposed to get onto a water taxi and look for this particular place to get off, and that would take us close to where we were staying. Well, that was real wonderful in the plan. The only trouble is that I heard afterwards, as it was at this time, that often during the summer the water taxis will go on strike. And so we didn't have a water taxi to take. Now, for people that have never been to Venice, I've had people that just can't understand, well, couldn't you take a cab? No, there are no streets in Venice. There are waterways in Venice. And if you don't have a water taxi, you're walking. And since this was our second trip and we hadn't learned all the special things about our luggage, that we travel a lot of times with our brother and sister-in-law, and so both our wives had these really big suitcases. Of course, they have wheels and handles, but along with the big suitcases, in-laws also brought along this very big duffel bag with a blanket in it. And that duffel bag proved to be a real challenge because it was about 2.5 miles to get to where our place that we're staying at. I'm not saying a hotel. They're kind of like a hotel. I'll explain that a little bit too. But to get there, we had to go like 2.5 miles through these about, maybe 4 or 5, walkways between these buildings, up and down over probably 15 bridges. These bridges are probably, 20 to 30 feet wide and 4 or 5 feet high. Walking up and down was a big enough challenge. If you're dragging a heavy suitcase and a duffel bag and all this stuff, it becomes a nightmare. Really hard to get all that heavy stuff up and then down and then up and down. Do that, a dozen or so times, and you're really getting worn out. The blessing we ran into is when we finally got to the general location where we knew our hotel was, that at that point in time we'd been hauling all this luggage. We were hot, we were tired, we were getting frustrated, and fortunately this senior fellow comes up with this wooden cart with these wheels. He's a porter, and he asked us if he could help us with our luggage. Well, at that point in time, we were willing to give the luggage to anybody that wanted to take it because we were just fed up with it. And we thought, oh, this is a blessing. Thank you. So he loaded all of our luggage onto this cart, and then we showed him where we were staying, thinking that no way he's going to know where this is. But by happenstance, he did. And so we followed him, and when you get there, if you go, it's amazing because there are no streets, so everything's a walkway between buildings. And so you go through this maze of buildings in and out and around and around. We came to this open area in this plaza, and we made our way across the plaza and then back into one of these walkways. And I remember we turned right and we turned left and went down this dead-end walkway, and the fellow pointed to this door. And so we got our paperwork out, and we went and knocked on the door, and we showed them our paperwork, and they go, yep, that's where we're staying. And so without his help, we probably would have been sleeping out on the open all night because we wouldn't have possibly have found that particular place where we had a reservation. So luggage, important thing. Don't overload it. It's your best friend and it's your worst enemy. So be careful when you travel. Travel light and enjoy your trip. It can be a wonderful time. We managed to have a great time when we were in Venice and other places in Italy, and we learned a lot. And so those kind of things I just want to share with you to help you keep from having those kind of challenging experiences that I hope to share with you on the YouTube channels. And then if you need specific information, then go to our website. Again, it's www.tripplanning101.com. And I think you'll be glad you did. There's a lot of good information there that hopefully will make your trip a wonderful time, keep you out of trouble, and have you enjoy something that we have certainly enjoyed over the last 7 years and hope to continue to join. So thank you very much. You have a wonderful day, and hopefully you have a great trip around the world.